Volatility on the upside is not a bad thing.
Right.
And last year was Volatility on the upside is not a bad thing.
Right.
And last year was a good example of that. But the other thing,
charts.
But the other thing we said at the time, and we actually took our cues from a value investor who said to us, I would never buy one stock in your portfolio, but I like your research and you might be right, so I'm going to just put 5%. This is a value investor, 5% as a hedge. And as did our first institutional investor, which is value-oriented,
right.
And kind of thought we were behaving like a value manager, long-term time horizon, and looking for extreme values. Well, value investors are using price to book and dividend yield and that sort of thing. We're using growth. You know, we're using spectacular growth rates that no one is expecting. And Tesla was our first proof of concept, I would say, a very visible one, where people were saying, what are they talking about? And all we had done was used Wright's Law, which is the centerpiece of our research, to try and figure out how quickly costs would decline in battery pack systems, and therefore how much prices would fall for electric vehicles and how quickly the uptake would be. And we saw Elon Musk, magnificent things happening in Twitter. The most important call that we made initially with Tesla was, all right, Tesla's battery technology is unlike any other auto manufacturer's battery technology. Tesla was riding down the cost curve of the consumer electronics industry. So laptops, cell phones, huge volumes, right? And when you get a scaling like that, costs come down. It's called a learning curve in the tech industry. So Elon, you had auto manufacturers and auto analysts laughing at him. Elon is building his car on top of cell phone batteries. Isn't that funny? And what they didn't believe was that the engineering was possible.
Right.
So there was they just didn't think it was possible. And he did. And so even today, these cylindrical batteries that he's been using relative to lithium-ion pouch, lower cost and will remain lower cost for at least 3 years, we think, which means that any other auto manufacturer who wants the same performance and the same range at the same price will have to lose money on every car sold.
You've gotten out of Apple. I mean, these are backward-looking companies or technologies that you don't think are, or not necessarily?
Not necessarily. They are very well understood. Their dynamics are well understood. They are the FANGs. Right. They're well owned. And we just want our clients to be exposed to the next FANGs, which are not going to be in the FANG category, but the next FANGs. And Tesla's becoming a FANG. You know, I think it will end up in that grouping at some point. So yeah, what we would sell, so our minimum hurdle rate of return expectation for a stock.
What is the long-term play when it comes to something like cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin?
So Bitcoin specifically, we got involved when it was a $6 billion market cap, and here's Art Laffer again in my life and in Ark's life. It was a $6 billion cap then. Now it's over $1 trillion, which is, but we were asking the question, this was 2015, could Bitcoin serve the 3 roles of money? And we came to the conclusion that it was possible. Art Laffer collaborated. He tore our original paper up. And as we were going through it, he said, this is the rules-based monetary system I've been waiting for since we left the gold exchange standard, 1971.
Right.
And I said to him, oh, how big could this be? And he said, well, how big is the US monetary base? And back then, remember, this is a $6 billion cap. Back then, it was a $4.5 trillion monetary base. Today we're at 8.5 trillion. And Bitcoin's at 1 trillion. And that's just one of its roles, I think the most fascinating thing that's happening is in El Salvador. Have you heard? They deemed Bitcoin, the president, who tweets every day, deemed Bitcoin legal tender. And
it was a Bloomberg quiz question.
Okay.
We do it every week. Anyway.
Okay. And sent a Chivo wallet to everyone in the population eligible, so 4 million. 3 million, it had $30 worth of Bitcoin in it. 3 million have downloaded it. Only 1.2 million in that country have a banking relationship. So this is the new bank, digital wallets, and it's going to be true in this country. It's going to be true around the world.
What do you expect kind of to be your involvement?
Yes,
in investment play?
Our first move away from China was when China was, had a very strong move, and the innovation there was being deeply appreciated while ours was not. So that was that kind of move. The second time we moved in, then we moved in, why? We saw the reaction to COVID, and we got more interested because it was the most disciplined country in terms of both monetary and fiscal policy during the crisis. And I thought that China had the possibility of becoming the Germany and Switzerland of the world, in terms of discipline, monetary and fiscal. As soon as Jack Ma was banished, effectively, last November, we started pulling back, because what we're doing, and especially during February through May, where our strategy, just to give you a sense how volatile it is, our strategy from mid-February through mid-May, most people wouldn't admit this maybe, but this is how volatile we are.
Yeah.
Transparency was down 37%, peak to trough. So we have come back, but during that period, what we do, as we always do, we concentrated our portfolio towards our highest conviction names. China was moving away because almost every week and month there was a new regulatory move, a crackdown. And so it was easy to do that. It was great because I'm always scrambling, looking for cash during a correction. Okay, where's the confidence lower? Where let's buy into some of these, our favorites here. Well, most people would tell you there are tax considerations and so forth.
Is that
of course, that's part of it, of course. However, we were looking for a city that might be able to evolve into St. like Austin has. And
do you think it can be Austin?
Yes, I absolutely do. If you have not been to St. Pete, you must go. I've now become St. Pete's official ambassador. So
who's been to St. Pete?
St. Pete?
All right, fair amount.
How it is, all my life I've said, I will never live in Florida. And here I am. I went to St. Pete. It is a young, vibrant town focused on culture, arts, music, a lot of tourism, very clean, very lovely, very friendly people from all over the place. And I do think we could have something like a South by Southwest in the St. Pete, Tampa region. I think Tampa is very exciting as well. Jeff Vinnick and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation have really brought Tampa alive.